Hi, everybody. Hope you can hear me. Okay, so let's see if I'm on. There we go. Okay. There we go. Hi, everybody. This is day. See if I can lift this up a little. So this is day 1605. 1605 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss. It was a code red internal, but it was in connection with others that were engaged in criminal trafficking. And we have confirmed now that Richard's unit was engaged in weapons and ammunition equipment trafficking. I've had a lot of people ask me, inquiring about what happened in South Korea lately, about President Yoon, when he, for 6 hours, ordered martial law there. And that was the same day as a Chinese illegal violator, an immigrant violator, was trafficking with tactical move storage units full of our Army equipment, uniforms, military grade weapons, ammunition, all that stuff. Who knows what all was in there? And I think there was more than one. I think there was, anyway, shipping out of California to North Korea. And North Korea absolutely is a hub for China. And so, this equipment and weapons and uniforms was coming out of Texas. Well, that's Fort Bliss. That's Fort Bliss, okay? That's Fort Bliss. That's, you can say, oh, well, that might be Fort Covassos, the Fort Hood. We know it as Fort Hood. But this is Fort Bliss. Anyway, in my estimation, in my opinion. So, and now we're making the connections that are, well, let's just say Iran-Contra pales in comparison to Richard's case. This has absolutely, like Iran-Contra, but this has international implications, of course. But, we have the Walmart mass shooting, so that is a mass killing. They call it a mass killing legally, right? The human rights lawyers or law, anyway, international law. So we've been inquiring about, is it right for us to say that the Iran-Contra scandal pales in comparison to Richard's case when you see a whistleblower soldier reporting on multiple offenses, but weapons trafficking within his unit that does not get the protection. Matter of fact, that the CID is the suspect in his murder, along with family members, Leilani Hart, Dallas Hart, and that it is connected to the Walmart mass shooting. That's been confirmed, absolutely confirmed, and connected to one of the largest, if not the largest, narcotics traffickers, El Mayo Zapata, Ismael El Mayo Zapata, and with El Chapo's son, right? Um, being arrested at the same time as Santa Teresa International Jetport, and of course the 500,000, 500,000 now um, unaccompanied missing children that were registered uh, primarily through Fort Bliss that are now mostly dead. Um, so you've got the narcotics, which require the weapons and the ammunition, and of course you have the human trafficking and the children trafficking, and we know that child porn has been part of this, and we know that the lifestyles of those that are suspects are officially on the book, notarized FBI files of the worst type of crimes inside of a family, taking advantage of children, abusing children in the worst kinds of ways, and um, and we know that there is child corn, and we know that there was other corn going on um, with with military uniforms and all. It is a sex cult, right? It's a sex cult, um, and we know that Leilani Hart was receiving her mail at a strip joint. Um, that happens to be in a very interesting location. Um, Next to the DPS, and we know that the Texas Ranger assigned to our case is connected to the cartel. We know that the retaliation against Richard um, didn't stick. Didn't stick. They wanted to discredit him. They wanted to frame him and get him in trouble legally. The lawyer assigned to him was El Mayo's lawyer, Ray Velarde. Ray Velarde is connected to others. Um, and the focus right now is on Santa Teresa International Jetport and these flights and these planes that our reports that we have received say that the numbers, the aircraft registered numbers were tampered with, the pilots' names were tampered with, and we have inquired about these pilots and about these planes and the numbers on the planes. Um, and how that is connected, of course, it's connected to El Mayo, how it's connected to this trafficking. Um, it's, when you think about the Walmart mass shooting, when you think about the 500,000 unaccounted for children, unaccounted for children that are now mostly dead, when you think of the Walmart mass shooting the narrative of it, okay, is a major crime because the narrative is such a lie, is obvious a lie. You don't have to be an El Paso police officer. You don't have to be a CID officer. You don't have to be a private investigator. You don't have to be the defense lawyer for Patrick Crucius. All you have to do is go back to the very first day and just watch the videos and you absolutely know that the narrative was part of the orchestration of that day, because on the very same day of the Walmart mass shooting, which happens to be Dallas Hart's birthday, August 3rd. August 3rd, this happened in 2019. Um, they were saying this is a lone shooter. This is a lone shooter. This is a lone shooter. And I think you as Americans, as well as just people around the world that watch this kind of news, I think we need to um, really scrutinize these quick responses. And I really think that needs to be so scrutinized, because the quick response was absolutely obvious that they, I guess, have gotten away with it in the past, these quick responses to drive a false narrative, so that we, don't see behind the curtain, that we don't see what's really going on, as uh as just the public, right? As just the public, and for our public safety, that they can get away with these crimes that they orchestrate. And of course, the Walmart mass shooting, I think it had several different purposes, but one of those purposes was to drive a false narrative to politically target and attack President Trump. And I've said it for a long time, with Ernest Christopher Grant, and his terrible, terrible narrative, bloody narrative, that was absolutely false, that he gave. And, you have to be very careful with the Biden administration, because they don't like you to point out the false narratives, right? They don't like for you to do that. But we did it anyway. And now we can, say it with a little bit more um, deliberate intent to notify President Trump. And I'm sure that he knows that Veronica Escobar was part of this, to use a false narrative of racism and all that stuff, about a lone shooter, Patrick Crucius, with a manifesto and all this, um, to use it to target and attack the MAGA campaign during that time, President Trump at that time. And what that tells us is that the opposition, the primarily, I don't want to say Democrat, because I feel like the Romneys, um, the Cheneys, those that very clearly have showed their opposition to President Trump. So, um, but what this says, if you're not looking politically, is they act politically, and they're willing to do the most horrendous things politically. And their bias, they are biased at a very extreme bias that is unacceptable. And what do I mean by that? Our volunteer soldiers are both, are many sides of the political spectrum. And when one goes missing, one is murdered, or one is a whistleblower, um, that bias, we feel like, was a hate crime against Richard. We believe that his Christianity was a hate crime, and I say that because of the many messages that we received that were so vile and vulgar. How the CID threw us out. When we got back in, one of the very first things they said to us to smear Richard was that he wasn't a Christian, when clearly we knew, we didn't care. We didn't care what are you talking about? You're not even supposed to be a Christian if you're in the military, right? Um, but according to them, but we didn't care. We didn't care what they thought about him. We wanted to know where he was, and we thought that that was their duty to just know where he was, just locate him, and then we'll figure everything else out after we locate him. But they were clearly trying to smear him and do some kind of psyop with us, and that's the point. What they used as the psyop was a bias against his Christianity because he had a Christmas tree and his belongings with the decorations. Um, they used his bias again. They used his faith and his stand was a conservative stand. Um, uh, I don't know if he was like 100% MAGA. I don't know. I know that he was absolutely a Trump supporter. And do I want to say that he was 100% MAGA? Okay, I should say yes, because MAGA stands for Make America Great Again. And I know for sure 100% that Richard wanted to make America great again, right? That's why he joined. That's why he aspired to be a CID agent. But what I meant about that is, was he so far right leaning in the political spectrum? I don't know. I know he was MAGA. I know he was a Trump supporter. I know that he was a Christian, and all of that was not something to debate over when he's missing with the CID. I didn't care what they thought about him. Just locate him, and then we could work it all out, right? And even if he, I mean, he's a hero. He's a total hero because he was whistleblowing against the criminal trafficking for the children's sake, for, against this fentanyl, the drugs, against the weapons, the fraud going on in his unit, the theft going on in his unit. Um, and it is a national security threat, right? It's a national security problem, what was going on. So, but Rob and I have always allowed our children um, freedom, right? Freedom to, it is absolutely true that I was not happy. We were not happy that he wanted to join the military. Um, and because he had never really lived in the States, he had never been around uh, 18-year-olds Americans. He primarily grew up in the middle of Ireland and in Heidelberg, Germany. And we just felt like, first learn how to drive really well. He didn't know how to drive really, really well. He was just very new with that because in Ireland you have to be 18 to start your driving. Um, we just wanted some time for him to get more prepared for what he would meet in the military. Um, and then if he was going to join, we said join the Air Force. Um, you know, that was just our preferable service. Um, and of course, that was in no way like we're against the military. We've always been military. But we just thought being a homeschooler, living primarily your whole life in Europe, that was not a good thing to do. Um, and, but um, we flew him to Korea to talk to us about it, and he ended up joining the Army from Korea. And when he became the Distinguished Honor Graduate for his cycle and basic training, and also the Distinguished Honor Graduate for his cycle in advanced individual training. So, two-time Distinguished Honor Graduate. Um, you know, we sent him $500. We said, "Wow, you got a $500 award for that. We're going to meet you that. We're going to send you that." Um, that's awesome. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe you made the right choice. He was so happy. He was so happy. He aspired to greatness, and he wanted to be um, the best that he could be, right? Be all you can be. He wanted to be all he could be, and wanted to be a CID agent. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. So that's clear that uh, that kind of narrative was not what the CID wanted to put out there. They wanted to tell, and of course, the Stars and Stripes are connected. The connections to um, those that are up to no good is, oh, wow, is just so huge. So we need to do a lot of discernment and a lot of scrutiny. And I never knew how much. Um, and of course, Richard's case is so big that it was so controlled. It was very, very controlled. And they wanted to smear him. A smear campaign was launched in his death because they already knew that he was dead. They already knew that he had been murdered on Fort Bliss. They have his remains. We know they have his remains. Um, and they are covering up, giving them back to us. But they, and who am I talking about? The DOD and all of the agencies. But within those agencies and in the environment that they found themselves in, which 2020 and 2021 and 2022, 2023 have been, especially the first half uh, of Biden's administration, it was absolutely insanity. Absolutely insanity. And it's still, it's still, I mean, um, and you saw how the media covered um, Harris and her takeover, right? And it was so illegal. And Veronica Escobar just went right along with it, got the over $1 billion and really blew it on the twerking and the Oprah and, and President Trump just met people where they were and discussed uh, the what they were concerned about, right? And he won by a landslide, even even with the targeting, right? And and having like a third less of the money. It was just amazing, and he won in a landslide. Just a an amazing, amazing victory. Zuckerberg called it, after um, he was shot in the ear, in the head, let's say it. They wanted to shoot him in the head. Um, After President Trump survived that and, fight, 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 Zuckerberg of Facebook said that was the most badass thing he's ever seen, right? Um, and everyone agreed with him. Everyone agreed with him. It was absolutely um, powerful, very, very powerful. And being in the weakling state that we are in still, not totally, because I think that President Trump is really the president right now. Um, if you weren't MAGA then, you're MAGA now. We've been MAGA absolutely all our lives. Um, and So I think that the chain of command are not. Um, but within all of that, because I think this was a hate crime against Richard, and it's all coming out because Richard was exposing a very elaborate trafficking network um, that is connected to the cartel, connected to China. Um, let's just put it out there. I mean, it is what it is. It is what the evidence shows it to be. And I'm not going to lie to anybody. Um, and they were willing to do a mass killing for it. They were willing to kill Richard for it. They were willing to, um, target Glennon Oakley Jr. for it. And they were willing to commit all of these human rights violations. I mean, absolute crimes against these children. Um, the theft, the level of money laundering, the cover up. It's just uh, wow. It just blows your mind. And so, and to take over or to have the right to fly at will out of this Santa Teresa jetport, international jetport, and also have positions in Mexico that gives you the right to fly liberally, right? And the right to land, take off in Mexico um, is, what a beautiful thing for a criminal that wants to traffic, right? But also with that flight, the information that we are getting is that partial remains from Richard were taken on one of these flights, and that it's connected to these flights with the El Mayo. And so with the aircraft numbers being tampered with, we are, that is being looked into, and with the pilots, and and the ownership, right? The ownership, and all the surrounding, those looking into it know more about all this stuff. So, and of course, we've had to learn everything as we go also. So we're keeping track of everything and learning about it. But it absolutely, those pilots, um, it's a little shocking. It's a little shocking. The level of lies and betrayal is going to be shocking. It's shocking for us and who they involve. So, and you know, yeah, I'm not really at liberty to say more until that all gets worked out. And let's just say everything makes sense because of, why is the DA Bill Hicks, and it's in the news, um, being being accused of withholding evidence. Bill Hicks right now, he's a usurper. He's being accused of withholding evidence. That's all being investigated, and what that means for for Richard's case and the Walmart case and all the trafficking. Bill Hicks is in real trouble. He's in a real trouble, and it's of his own making. It's of his own making. He was in trouble, and he was sloppy, and he was very bad, and he was up to no good, and he has hurt so many people in El Paso. And we're going to have the backbone to admit that he needs to be held accountable, along with many others, like Joe Spencer and like Sam Medrano. They are absolutely the worst and need to be held accountable ASAP for what they have done to El Paso. Absolutely. Which includes Fort Bliss and also Richard's case. What they did with the Walmart mass shooting, they need to pay restitution for that. They are absolutely criminal from top to bottom, from the tippy top of their hairs to the bottom of their toes, to the calluses of their toes. They are absolutely corrupt and criminal. So Bill Hicks, there's more. There's more. But Leilani Hart and Tavita Nusa could not have accomplished what they did without these criminals that are supposed to be our judicial system, right? Are supposed to watch over the people, care about the people, care about the Constitution, the Texas Constitution, the rule of law. They're supposed to care about all of that. They're supposed to have honor. That's why we call them honorable judge, right? Because they're supposed to, that is like their main goal is to be honorable. And yet what we have is absolute criminals. So what they did, people have to understand this. The magistrate court could not be totally messed up with these appointed judges, which violates the Texas Constitution, Article 5, Section 30. I hope I'm getting that right. They could not be violating the Texas Constitution and botching all these cases, thousands of cases. You know how much money that is in taxpayers' money alone? Not to even mention all the human rights violations. That could not have happened if Sam Medrano was doing his job, if Veronica Escobar was doing her job, because she approved the payment for these criminals. And so, they are absolute, and it's not, you cannot make an excuse like for us, oh, well, we didn't know, because that would be true, right? We didn't know. No, this is their job to know. This is their job. This is why they get paid the big bucks. This is their job to know. And so they have no excuse. And their behavior, their lack of integrity when it comes to the other cases and Richard's case and the Walmart case, and absolutely leaves you without any doubt that they are involved with this criminal trafficking group, because there's no other reason for their lack of integrity unless that they were involved in criminal matters. So, and they The cases alone, because judges control the cases. They control them with the subpoenas and warrants, with sealing the deal, right? With backroom deals and seals and subpoenas and warrants and everything. And investigators can't do their job without the aid of the judges. So the judges absolutely knew what was going on. They knew what cases to bring forward, what cases to let go. And it's just very, very clear that this has a connection with Santa Teresa International Jetport, Walmart mass shooting, the targeting of President Trump, the targeting of Richard Halliday, the whistleblower, the targeting of the witness, the eyewitness, Glennon Oakley Jr., and the Army. That is a whole another discussion that the Army absolutely needs to be held accountable, especially Judge Robert Shook, the JAG. The JAG in this matter are very complicit. And so when you see the level that rises to death penalty, treasonous death penalty level, and about all of these, well, we know Leilani Hart and her family committed atrocious acts against children that are deserving the death penalty. So we know that that's already filed. That's already notarized, filed by Leilani Hart herself. She confessed to it. So we already know that. And we know that that includes Dallas Hart as a first lieutenant in the Army. So this kind of level of behavior is worthy of a death penalty. And then on top of that, being the prime suspect in the murder of Richard. And also, don't forget, Leilani Hart targeted the whistleblower that reported her with false claims. So the crime just, went on and on and on. And I'm talking about Judge Roger Rodriguez, who had let us know in January of 2022 that he had filed whistleblower complaints to many different agencies, letting them know that Richard's case had been tampered with Tavita Nusa, the CID agent there at Fort Bliss, and his family member who was in a sexual relationship with him, Leilani Hart, who tampered with Richard's files, and that they needed to absolutely investigate. Now, Leilani Hart, of course, everyone knows, is Dallas Hart's mother, and Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. So, and Dallas Hart's father is part of IDS Pueblo there at the VA. And that is a big purse, y'all. When you are on the board of IDS Pueblo in the VA, you have a very big purse. And if you're up to no good, you can use that purse to influence your criminal activity. So that all needs to be looked into, how that purse was used by the Hart family, because we know about the children and the hundreds of thousands of children, and the Hart family having an LLC called Hart's Child Care LLC. So, which is absolutely cringeworthy when you know what was in the affidavit that Leilani Hart submitted and was accepted to the FBI. The child abuse, the allegations, connections, the connections to Danae Katzen. I don't know why Danae Katzen is being thrown out to the wolves. She's being thrown out to the wolves with this credit card stuff. Whereas for years and years, she was absolutely allowed to get away with it. The PI, remember the PI? And I wish, I need to post that interview with the PI who, was brought in to take our money to be up to no good and, say, oh, swoon. He was swooning over Danae Katzen. Okay. Swooning over her. I'm not joking. You have to listen to it. And he's supposed to be the interrogator, right? And, who he didn't like was me. That's who he didn't like. But so that was where the attack was his employer. Um, and it's yeah. Uh, Now we know, and he was in discussions constantly when he was in El Paso with the CID, and they had everything then to arrest her. They knew. They knew that she was married to Jonathan Ambrose, that she was connected to Jonathan Slavitt, that was connected all to Bliss Avenue, which was connected to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, which was connected to the Walmart mass shooting, which was all connected to the criminal trafficking and weapons trafficking and Richard's unit. They knew at that time. And now, third time on the watch list and for the credit card and she was there. She was there with Richard's credit card. She was there, and we believe it was his pistol that she was talking about now. They knew all this back then, 4 years ago, and they just were in cover-up mode. Absolutely criminal cover-up mode for our law enforcement agencies. And we know all of this because there is institutional help. That's why we got the declaration of death. And it means a lot because we got a lot of information from that. Okay, it means a lot. So anyone that says it doesn't mean a lot doesn't know what they're talking about. It means a lot. We know that Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss. Remember, there was a lot of questions before then. And, so we have all the receipts, and it's really important because of jurisdiction, why they were trying to hide where he was murdered is clear because of jurisdiction. These are law enforcement community individuals with lawyers. They have the likes of Felix Valenzuela and Ray Velarde and all of that, and Joe Spencer. They have the likes of all of them. So they were trying to cover up, and so it has taken a while to uncover all of this. And they of course are probably listening. They want to know, and I'm like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We know far more. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And yeah, and the Iran-Contra scandal is just pale in comparison to Richard's. The national security threat in Richard's case is huge, is absolutely huge. The level of treason, the level of crimes against children, these are all capital punishment crimes. These are all death penalty crimes. I'm not just saying it. I'm not just saying it. I'm not about fear mongering. I'm about getting our sons' remains and getting justice, getting accountability, so that a precedence is laid that they cannot traffic with serving foreign countries. They cannot traffic while serving foreign countries and bringing our country down. They just can't. I'm all about make America great again, right? As much as I love other countries too, and I do, and I do, um, first and foremost, make America great again. This is my country. This is our son's country. He didn't try to join the Irish military or the British military or the German military or the French military or the Polish military. I mean, he is an American. He's MAGA. He wanted to join the American military, and and he wanted to serve it with honor and integrity, and not in a unit that was trafficking our weapons and ammunition and equipment and all of that to be sent to foreign countries, to be used against us later, right? Because at the bottom line is they'll use that against us later. This is like a Trojan horse. I don't know if it's that. It is, the trafficking is just, it's worthy. The level of crime and the amount of pain is absolutely death penalty. And anyone that helped, including the pilots, including the owners of the planes, including those that work at the airport, including those that are on Fort Bliss that knew this was going on, the unit members, this is absolutely the death. Anyone helping Leilani Hart, after she confessed to hurting children in the worst way within her house, within her family, they are absolutely can be charged and face the death penalty. So I think that needs to be put out there. We've been warning people, and with our communications with the Trump administration, I can tell you that we need to put out these warnings to people. They need to think hard. They've had 4 years. We've been very, very patient, but things are changing, and it's all in God's timing. We're here for the long haul, and we want our son's remains, and we want accountability. Let's read some posts now. Thank you, Anisiev. Thank you so much. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you. The Richards tree is beautiful. It is. It is. Can you imagine? You're in the, what? You're 18, 19 years old, and you're in the barracks, and you go out and you buy this, and it's a good tree. It's not just a flimsy little tree. It's a good tree. And you buy decorations. One of them is homemade. We don't know who made it. And lights, and you put it up in your barracks. Wow. This is a man, this is a soldier that wrote his grandparents a letter from basic training. This is a soldier, a man that bought a Christmas tree. This is a soldier that said he rather burn his money than break his integrity, right? Break his honor, break his character, hurt women, because at the end of the day, it hurts women, hurts children, because a lot of these women, a lot of these 14-year-olds on Fort Bliss, there wasn't just one. We have reported from DES Thomas Kane, yes, the one, and that was the stepdaughter of one of his security guards. But can you believe that? Can you believe that? But know that there were also others, their children. And if you go to Juarez and you go along with these raids, or you look at the news and you see these raids, the girls coming out of these homes are like 9 years old. I'm not joking. That have been used and abused in the worst way. So Richard is a hero. And yeah, we were so glad to put up the Christmas tree. And we want to warn people that are part of this that they are facing the death penalty. They're facing the death penalty. Those that have been helping, and you know who you are. I'm talking to certain people that I know have been helping Leilani Hart, helping Dallas Hart, helping them. And it is on FBI record that that family was engaged in the worst way with children. And they are the suspects of the murder of a whistleblower soldier. You help them, you continue to help them, you're facing the death penalty. The death penalty. Richard honored Jesus Christ. Yes, he did. It absolutely is. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we can't say we didn't mourn. And I have this funny feeling with Danae. She's not dumb. She was never dumb. She's clever. That's why they used her. And they are putting up the worst picture of her. Yes, she's gained weight and all that, but they're putting up the worst picture of her. Because I think that she wanted to talk. I think she is too clever. I think she read the tea leaves. And because she's absolutely connected in a friendly way, in a family way, with KTSM. And for KTSM to be posting her picture like this, something happened. Something happened. And yes, she has committed crimes. She was trained to do it, right? And I'm not making excuses. But something doesn't smell right there. Something is not right. They've had every chance. They've already arrested her multiple times. They've had every chance. Why now? Why like this? Something is stinky. And maybe somebody can enlighten me on that. But we feel like she is being thrown out to the wolves for the bigger traffickers or whatever. But she's absolutely connected to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, who absolutely received illegal funds, benefits from the Walmart Victims Fund. That was being looked into. that she has lied. And there's more to it. There's more international to it that includes Germany. So, yeah. Um, I felt in my heart she seemed more involved than she portrayed herself. Oh man, she's totally involved from the beginning. She had to try and clear her guilty conscience, whichever one is Jonathan. Well, Jonathan Slavitt is the one that she targeted. Jonathan Ambrise is who she married. Both 143. Okay? Both 143. They she absolutely, I'm telling you, we already have it that she's connected to Leilani Hart and Dallas Hart and all of them and Belen Rocha and Eddie Rocha, the Ortegas, Rosa Maria, Bliss Avenue, which is connected by family to Mario Raskin Ortiz, the illegal medical examiner, chief medical examiner. So, it is, and I have to say that over and over again because he is so important and he's illegal and not qualified for the position because all of these murder cases, these death cases, anytime, the whole Walmart mass shooting, any of these, he determines the cause and manner of death. He goes to the court and testifies to the cause and manner of death. That that is such an important role. It's a judicial role because he can issue warrants and there's so much he can do like a judge. So for the MAC court, for the chief medical examiner, for the DA to withhold evidence now, and Bob Moore of El Paso Matters is just now reporting it. Just now reporting it. I think that's criminal. That is so criminal because Bob Moore with Bill Hicks with Justin Underwood schemed to remove and replace Yvonne Rosales. They know each other. They know. Oh man, it's just it's so criminal. It's so criminal. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to pave their way into prison, pave their way. Are they facing the death penalty? I don't know. I don't know. But it's pretty bad. And now they have, are they selling each other out because of this new administration coming in? These are so many questions that we have. Um, and I guess time, it's all in God's timing. Right now, I can tell you um, our focus are those flights because those flights, um, we've been told that they are related to Richard's remains. And we want our son's remains. So she had to try, yeah, in your opinion. Thank you. Yeah. Um, yeah, she's facing a lot of trouble, Danae. And I don't know. I don't know why they threw her out. Yeah. But they threw her to the wolves. And yeah. Maybe it's the art of the deal. It's the art of the deal. Maybe it's the art of the deal. There's a lot of deals being made, y'all. A lot of deals, a lot of deals. Because how in the world do you get through this without the art of the deal? Um, Yeah. The Iran-Contra uh, scandal aggravated a lot of people too because there were deals in it, right? Um, so we'll see. We'll see. At least we have a master, an absolute master, high IQ art of the dealer in the White House, coming in the White House as president. And so maybe he can figure it out. Um, what a tough job. And that's why I oppose that he did not want to take the $400,000. I don't care if he's a billionaire or not. If we voted him as president, he landslide victory. Um, he's president of the United States. Don't muzzle the ox. He should get his pay because of these kind of decisions that include major cartel individuals, China, absolutely trafficking with who knows what countries are involved in this, and our military leadership command, and then into our judicial system where they are working together to orchestrate a mass killing to target their political rivals. Yeah, using one of their own, but a special needs individual. Yeah, uh, they're pretty low. Joe, Joe Spencer, Joe, you're pretty low. You're pretty low, Joe. Um, so for President Trump to have to make these decisions, um, yeah, I hope he puts in some really good people, surrounds himself with some really good people, and we'll be praying really hard and working very hard. You know, um, our belief is to work is to pray is to work. Work is to pray is to work. So, absolutely praying all the time. It takes the spiritual, it takes the physical, right? Because this is a spiritual war and it's a physical war. And yeah, and it's all about the judicial system and the law is on our side. And that is such a blessing because that's how we've gotten this far. The law is on our side, which is huge. That's why it needs to be defended. That's why we spend the money that we do to defend our Constitution, because it's absolutely so precious to us, to each and every individual from every class, every level of society. They have rights. Each individual has rights. And so that the law is so precious, and it needs to be defended. So thank you so much. God bless you on this Rose Sunday. I guess it's past now. And I will be back tomorrow.